Alright, so Google just wrapped up their I/O conference for 2023, and there was a lot of cool stuff that they talked about, a ton of AI, but in this video we'll be taking a quick look at the Pixel hardware that they announced. Starting off with the Pixel 7a, one of the worst kept secrets as of late. We're looking at a 6.1-inch Full HD OLED 90Hz panel, thumbs up for that refresh rate. The bezels are a tad larger this time around. It's got the metal camera visor we saw on the Pixel 7, and as expected, it's got a plastic back with an aluminum frame, IP67 certification, and the phone will come in at 193 grams or 6.81 ounces, which is 15 grams or 0.53 ounces heavier than the 6a. This year's A series phone gets Google's second generation Tensor G2 chip. It's got 8GB of RAM, 128GB of storage, along with the Titan M2 security chip. There's a slightly smaller 4,385 mAh battery with 18-watt wired charging and 7.5-watt wireless charging, so nothing too crazy there, unfortunately. We're looking at a dual camera setup with an upgraded 64 megapixel main camera, which uses a 72% larger sensor than the one found on the 6a, capable of capturing 4K video at 60 frames per second, a 13 megapixel ultra-wide sensor capable of 4K at 30 FPS, and the front-facing camera uses a new 13 megapixel sensor also capable of 4K 30. The 7a will be getting the long exposure mode, which is a first for the A series, and super res zoom, which is awesome. The 7a is available now in charcoal, snow, sea, which is a new color. The Pixel Buds A are getting that paint job too, and coral, which is exclusive to the Google Store in the US. The phone starts at $499, so this is a nice upgrade over last year's 6a. It adds a couple of things like wireless charging and a 90Hz display and all new cameras, which is great. The 6a, of course, used older hardware, which worked out overall, but it is nice to see some new camera hardware in an A series phone for sure, especially that larger main sensor. Alright, let's go ahead and move over to the Pixel tablet. As for the display, we are looking at a 10.95-inch 2560 by 1600 LCD display, 500 nits brightness, and it supports USI 2.0 stylus pens. The tablet has a fingerprint scanner built into the power button, which is nice. There's a quad speaker and 3 mic setup. It's got a 100% recycled aluminum build with a nano ceramic coating, and it weighs in at 493 grams or 17.4 ounces. This has the Google Tensor G2 and Titan M2 security chip as well, 8GB of RAM, 128 or 256 gigs of UFS 3.1 storage. It's got a 27 watt-hour battery, and Google is claiming up to 12 hours of video streaming, so we'll definitely have to test that out. It charges via the included charging speaker dock, yes, included, and it charges at 15 watts max. Google is promising a minimum of 5 years of security patches, which is great. As for the cameras, we're looking at an 8 megapixel camera on the back, and it looks to be the same camera on the front, both capable of capturing 1080p video at 30 FPS, and the usual Pixel camera features will be there, like Magic Eraser, Photo on Blur, Long Exposure, and more. As far as connectivity, we're looking at Wi-Fi 6, Bluetooth 5.2, and it's got an ultra-wideband chip for ranging purposes, and it also has Chromecast built in as well. Again, the tablet comes with the charging speaker dock, which is awesome, and you'll be able to get a case with an adjustable metal ring stand. It works with the dock, and you can even hang it on stuff, which is neat. It comes in this porcelain color, hazel, and rose. Pre-orders are currently live. The tablet starts at $499, and it will be available to pick up from stores on June 20th. This is looking like a nice re-entry into the tablet space for Google, as they're aiming to position this as more of a multi-purpose home hub, and so far, it's looking good. Last but not least, the long-awaited Pixel Fold. Here we go. We're looking at a 5.8-inch 1080p 120Hz OLED external display with HDR, 408 pixels per inch, a 17.4:9 aspect ratio, Gorilla Glass Victus, and 1550 nits peak brightness. Now, unfolding that display, that one is a 7.6-inch 2208 by 1840 120Hz OLED panel with HDR as well, a 6:5 aspect ratio, 380 pixels per inch, and 1450 nits peak brightness. It uses UTG or ultra thin glass with a plastic layer on top for protection. The phone comes in at 283 grams or 10 ounces, and it's about half an inch or 12.1 millimeters thin when folded, and about 1/5 of an inch or 5.8 millimeters thin unfolded. There's IPX8 certification. The back has Gorilla Glass Victus as well. The hinge has a polished stainless steel construction. It appears to be strong enough to be able to hold open at different angles, which is good. This one also has the Tensor G2 and Titan M2. There's 12 gigabytes of RAM and either 256 or 512 gigabytes of UFS 3.1 storage. It's got a 4,821 milliamp hour battery, which uses a dual battery architecture to power the displays. I believe it's also got the largest battery we've seen in a foldable so far. 30 watts max wired charging, and wireless charging is here too. There's a fingerprint sensor built into the power button, and as for the cameras, it's got a 48 megapixel main sensor, a 10.8 megapixel ultra wide camera, and a 10.8 megapixel 5x telephoto lens. There's also sensors for laser detect autofocus and spectral and flicker, and there's optical and electronic image stabilization. The outer front-facing camera sports a 9.5 megapixel sensor, and the inner camera uses an 8 megapixel sensor. The rear cameras can shoot video in up to 4K at 60 frames per second, the outer front cam up to 4K 30, and the inner cam up to 1080 30. So obviously multitasking will be a big selling point for the Fold, and there will be split screen functionality where you'll be able to use different applications simultaneously. You can drag and drop stuff in between them, and there will be dual screen support coming fall of this year. The Fold comes in obsidian and porcelain colors. There will be cases in different colors ready to go for it as well, and it's available for pre-order right now at $1,800, and it'll ship in June. And I believe if you pre-order the Fold, it comes with a Pixel watch, which is pretty awesome. While that price is pretty stinking steep, I am glad that Google finally got into foldables, and the Pixel Fold is looking like a solid first entry to kick things off for them. The competition is moving pretty quickly though, so let's hope Google can keep up moving forward. Make sure to check out our full coverage of all things Google I/O and more on the Android Police site, linked below. That's also where you'll find our full written review for the Pixel 7a. More coverage coming your way here on the channel too, so make sure you hit that subscribe button. It's been Zach, hope you enjoyed, and thanks for watching.